death. He's going to be Speaker of the House next year in Florida. Had to keep it in the family. But we were talking today. He said, "What are you talking about, Mr. Bense?" I said, "You know, I've got it laid out." And he made a very, very good point, and he said he learned it from me, supposedly. But you know, I'm a physical conservative. I'm a Republican, right-wing, I call myself a Jeb Bush conservative. And I'm not so sure that the Tea Party folks would embrace me with all arms, but still, I'm very conservative. But he made a good point, and that is that we need to make sure that government doesn't take a major role in our lives. They shouldn't be giving out mandates to businesses and people. But there are groups of folks out there that do need help. And, you know, I think America was formed ultimately, or initially by, you know, common defense, make sure we have police protection, but also to help those who need help, who can't help themselves. And I will tell you that, Will, when it comes to funding issues like this, I'm not so sure we should be looking at cutting funding for folks with disabilities, for the elderly, for the frail, folks that need help. So I will tell you, I think he will continue that feeling of being compassionate about issues like that, because, yeah, some areas of government need to be cut. There's no doubt about it. But some do provide a good service. And clearly those areas in government that help those folks that need to be helped shouldn't be affected. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that's how he feels. The Able Trust has been around for 20 years. Congratulations, happy anniversary. They've been able to distribute millions of dollars to a lot of groups around Florida, communities, to local schools and so on, to try and make sure that those folks with disabilities get good, meaningful jobs. And you've been very successful, Sue. Keep it up. Don't stop. Keep raising money. Keep working on it. And one of my good friends is J.R. Harding, who is on your board of directors. And I met J.R. when I was Speaker of the House. And he came in to see me about my 3rd day when I was Speaker. And chatted with me. And he was back about the 10th day, and the 14th day, and the 22nd day, and the 30th day. And if you didn't know it, in case you weren't sure, JR is very persistent. And he wanted me to go look at a park that happened to be in my home district in Panama City, just outside Panama City, the Billy Joe Rich Park, which serves folks with disabilities. And so, you know, I put them off, but you know, I was busy. Finally, I just gave up and said, "Okay, I'll go, JR, trust me, I'll go." And I went. And it's a beautiful park on Cape San Blas, which happens to be probably the most pristine beaches in America, not just Florida, America. Sugar white, beautiful. And this is a park, about 15 acres, that serves, and folks from all over Florida and from all over the Southeast come to this park, folks that have disabilities, and they can be at the beach, they can swim in the pool, they can perform activities. When I went there, it's one of those things where, remember the show Jerry Maguire, when at the end of the movie, you know, he walked in the room and said hello, and the lady said, "You had me at hello?" Well, they had me at hello when I went to the park. And I'll tell you that thanks to his persistence, we made sure that we sent about $3.5 million to that park to get it fixed up. He got my attention. And it was a great thing, it's the right thing to do, and a lot of folks with disabilities have been able to go to that park and have a great time. So, JR, he's not here. I think he was here earlier, but he told me he had to go. He's probably at the FSU game. He told me he had something else going on. But I bet you he's at the FSU game, but whatever. I want to talk a little bit tonight, and I'll be quick. I love Rick Scott, Governor Scott. He gives fast, quick speeches. And I love him. And I'll try to be brief, but I have a lot of points I want to make. I want to talk about my life, shortly, your life. When I say your life, folks with disabilities, and our future. My mom and dad were dairy farmers, and they were broke early on, and they lost their farm. We were fortunate enough that the person that bought our farm in bankruptcy let us stay on as caretakers. So I grew up, you know, fixing fences and taking care of cattle and things like that. And when I was in middle school, I was 8th grade, my daddy died, and I loved my daddy. He was just a great guy, and he taught me wonderful things. And my best friend, I lost him. And then a couple of years later, my mama died. And my grandmother, who kind of always lived by us or with us, was stuck having to raise me in high school. And we had no money. We had absolutely no money. We lived in the house, the caretaker's house, for free, in exchange for keeping up the fences and the cattle and things like that. And it was just very difficult on her. And I can recall one day I came home from school, and I said, "Man, I just found out that we can get money. Because Mom and Daddy died, and we can get money from Social Security." And she said, "I'm sure you can, Al, and I'm sure we can." And folks, we couldn't pay our power bill. We had trouble paying our gas bill to light our stove. It was tough. I was working 2 or 3 jobs. Forget about a car and stuff like that. We were just barely hanging on. And this was a pretty good chunk of change. And I said, "Dad, we can." She said, "You know, Alan, it's tough. I understand that. But you've never taken money for something you haven't earned. And we can take that money, and life will be better. But if you just trust me, we'll be okay. We'll be okay." I said, "Okay." We hung in there. And I will tell you, that was the best lesson I ever learned in my life. Because from that point in time on, I learned that whatever in life you get, you should work for it. You should earn it. You should earn it. Work for it. And I've never lost that spirit. I went to college, and my grandmother died. My first year in college, I came home, and that was my last. There was nobody else. I had no safety net after that. No one to talk to. And let me tell you, when you're 18, 19 years old, and there's no one left, it's a lonely feeling. And I can recall, this is a religious experience. You'll have to indulge, please. But after a funeral, I went home and looked up and I said, "Lord, what have I done to make you so angry at me? Why do you take everyone I love from my life? Why do you do that? I've not harmed you. I've not been a terrible guy." And, and I will tell you, I cried and so on, but that day, a sense of calmness came over me. And I'm convinced that the Lord at that day said, you just need to, I'm here, I'm going to watch out after you, and you need to hang in there and you'll be okay. And from that point in time in my life, I was okay. It was painful. Finished college, went to work in the banking business, and I set some goals. And by the time I was 30, I bought a bank and sold it with partners and made a pile of money, an absolute pile of money. And I took that money and put it in other businesses and made an even bigger pile of money. So I'm not bragging. I'm not bragging. And part of what I want to tell everyone, and I'll get to it later on here in just a couple minutes, is, life can throw you some curveballs. And folks that the Able Trust helps have been thrown some really bad curveballs, really bad, terrible sliders. In my words to you, that if you have suffered, if you have had a hard time, if life's dealt you some bad blows, is just hang in there. Just hang in there. Pursue it. Don't give up. Don't quit. And I have failed. Let me tell you, folks, I have failed in my life. Let me tell you about my political career. It's terrible. It's horrible. I ran for class president in 10th grade and lost. Ran for student government president in 11th grade. Lost. Ran for president again as a senior. Lost. In 1992, I ran for the Florida Senate. Lost. I was on the Tourist Development Council in my county, and I ran for chairman. 94, I lost. It was horrible. I was pretty bad. But in 1998, I ran for the Florida House, and I won. And I decided I want to run for Speaker of the Florida House, and I won. It's America, folks. This is the greatest country in the world. It is the absolute greatest country in the world. And we seem to like, we love people who get up at the count of 9 and come back, because that's what this country is all about. And whoever expected us to win the revolution? Nobody thought we would win the revolution. And that's what this country is all about. I have had the opportunity over the years to visit with folks that have been challenged. And I want to make sure everyone knows, I don't have disabilities. I'm a tall, handsome, good-looking guy. Well, I'm tall and handsome. Okay, I'm tall. Whatever, I'm tall. God has given me a great body. And God didn't give everybody a great body. And those folks that have to overcome the disability of some of the extreme areas that we've seen, God bless them. God bless them. Because I was lucky. Yeah, I had a couple of little curveballs thrown at me at a young age, but I took those curveballs and I parlayed them. You wonder, how'd you make a lot of money? Well, you know what? Once you can survive what I survived, you don't mind taking risks, because if I fail, if I lose, so what? I'm right back where I was. You know, I went from being probably the poorest guy in Florida when I finished college. I mean, I went straight through, got a master's degree, borrowed all kinds of money, worked all kinds of jobs, and I moved up to become the wealthiest member of the Florida House. I'm not bragging. I'm saying that's America. That's what this country is all about. Marco Rubio says it so wonderfully. If you've ever had the chance to hear him speak, you know, if you grew up in 98% of the countries in the world, if your father is a waiter or your mother's a waiter, you will be a waiter. And there's no opportunity for you to break out of that class. But not in America. Even with disabilities. Let me tell you a story about a partner of mine. Years ago, another partner and I were in the hotel business. We built a brand new hotel, Panama City Beach, Florida, 15-story high-rise. This is 1991. We got ready to put the cable system in, and the cable company said you have to sign a 10-year lease. 10-year lease? So my partner has a little bit of a stubborn streak in his back. So we called a guy named Sean Wright. Sean Wright was, unfortunately, he's passed away since then. Sean Wright was a quadriplegic who had a satellite business. So we called Sean and said, Sean, how can you get us some kind of cable system into our hotel? And Sean figured out a way to do it. And then Sean said, you know what? We should get in the cable business. And we both said, you know what? I want to give those guys, you know, the folks that were there that had the monopoly, a run for their money. And so Sean was the idea behind it. He was a partner, and we built a cable company. It's called Beach Cable. Spent millions of dollars. Sean ran it. He oversaw it. And he was such an inspiration. It was very competitive because we had to go literally knock on doors to people to get them to switch their cable service to ours. And Sean would be out there with his brother, who was always with him, or his mom and dad, who were always with him. It was a wonderful family because clearly Sean required a lot of attention. But he would be out there on the street knocking on doors with us. Of course, he couldn't go to the door, but he would get as close as he could, and, you know, and wave to folks. And we killed him. I mean, we in 4 or 5 years, we were able to get enough subscribers to where we were able to sell out. And we had one of the very few competitive cable companies. Now you've got Pride House, you've got Knowledge, you have many, many other overbuilds. But Sean Wright was my inspiration. And he had a tremendous disability. I mean, when you're a quadriplegic, life is extremely difficult. But he had a great mind. And he had courage. And he had wisdom. And he helped us make a lot of money. So it was a great, great experience. You know, I know you love to hear stories like that. It's an all-American story. And I kind of grew up in a house, you know, Mom and Dad died when I was young, but they gave me a great foundation. They gave me a great foundation to work hard, be honest, provide a good service. So my whole thrust tonight is no matter what it is you have to overcome, no matter how difficult it is, I know many of you out there and many of you that will be watching this have been challenged, but don't give up and don't be afraid to fail. You might fail. In America, we are such a forgiving country that even if you fail, if you work your way back, we'll let you work your way back because it's the absolute best country in the world. So having said that, it's an honor to be here tonight. I told you I wouldn't speak too long. And Ed and everyone else, Julio, thank you for all your service to the folks that have disabilities and who are trying to get them back to work. And to other companies that are out there that are helping to gainfully employ folks that are challenged, thank you very much. What you do is wonderful. And thank you folks tonight.